Cruise lines confiscated more banned items last year than at any point in cruising history, and most passengers had no idea they were breaking a rule until security pulled it straight out of their bag. After going through the newest 2026 policies from Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, and Celebrity, I found 25 items that will get confiscated, fined, or flagged before you even reach your cabin. Some of them are obvious. Some of them will genuinely surprise you. Number 9 is the one that catches even experienced cruisers completely off guard. And number 1 is now restricted on almost every major ship sailing in 2026. So stay with me, because packing the wrong item this year could cost you hundreds of dollars or delay your boarding entirely. Before we get into the list, if you are planning a cruise for 2026, go ahead and subscribe now, because this channel breaks down the newest packing rules and the small mistakes that cost travelers real money. And once you know these 25 items, you will walk through security faster than almost everyone in line. Number 25. Oversized mobility scooters without approval. Cruise lines have tightened their rules around mobility scooters for 2026, and the change is catching families off guard. A 63-year-old from Orlando booked a cruise for her mother, packed a large scooter, and assumed it would roll straight onto the ship. At the terminal, staff measured it, told her it exceeded the new width limit for unapproved units, and said it needed pre-registration at least 30 days before sailing. Without that approval, it was held at the terminal for the entire cruise. Here is why cruise lines now require documentation for scooters above a certain size, because hallway and elevator space is limited, and oversized units create safety issues during emergency drills. Here is what you do. Contact the Special Needs Department a month before sailing, confirm your scooter's dimensions, and get written approval in your reservation notes before you reach the port. Number 24. Large pool floats and inflatable pools. Pool floats seem harmless, but 2026 policies have gotten strict about size. A 41-year-old from Tampa packed a giant inflatable flamingo for her kids. Security stopped her at the gangway, explained that anything larger than a small personal float is banned from ship pools due to overcrowding and drainage system damage, and she had to leave it behind. Here is why cruise lines enforce this. Oversized floats clog pool filtration systems and take up space that limits how many guests can safely use the pool. Here is what you do. Pack a small compact float under the new size limit, or plan to use the floats the ship already provides. Number 23. Homemade or perishable food. This is one that trips up families every single sailing. A 55-year-old from Chicago packed homemade tamales for her father, and customs pulled every single one at the terminal. Cruise lines and customs agencies have expanded restrictions in 2026 on homemade, perishable, and unpackaged food because of contamination and biosecurity concerns at international ports. Here is why this happens. Food that has not been commercially sealed cannot be verified for safety, and it creates liability for the ship's medical team if anyone gets sick. Here is what you do. If you want a taste of home, stick to factory-sealed snacks with visible ingredient labels and leave homemade dishes at home no matter how badly you want to share them. Number 22. Weapons, pepper spray, and tasers. This one should be obvious, but it still catches people every year. A 34-year-old from Houston packed a small pepper spray canister, forgetting it was in her carry-on. Security flagged it immediately, confiscated it, and she was pulled aside for a secondary screening that delayed her boarding by over an hour. Cruise lines classify pepper spray, tasers, stun guns, and any bladed weapon over 4 inches as strictly prohibited, regardless of local self-defense laws. Here is why this matters so much in 2026. International maritime law treats these as security threats the same way an airport would, and possession can result in items being permanently confiscated or reported to port authorities. Here is what you do. Remove every weapon, spray, or blade from your luggage before you leave home, and if in doubt, leave it out entirely. Number 21. Walkie-talkies and baby monitors. Families love bringing these to stay connected on a big ship, but 2026 rules have narrowed what is allowed. A 47-year-old from Denver packed walkie-talkies so her teenagers could explore the ship independently. At the terminal, staff explained that certain frequency ranges interfere with the ship's internal communication and navigation systems, and only specific low-power models are approved. Hers were on the restricted frequency list and had to be surrendered. Here is why cruise lines police this closely. Ships rely on clear internal channels for crew communication, safety drills, and navigation, and consumer walkie-talkies can create interference. Here is what you do. Check the cruise line's approved frequency list before you buy anything, and when in doubt, rely on the ship's free internal messaging app instead. Number 20. Candles, incense, and open flames. This is a fire safety rule that has existed for years, but 2026 enforcement has gotten far stricter with new smoke detection technology. A 58-year-old from Miami packed a scented candle to make her cabin feel like home. She never lit it, but a routine cabin inspection found it, and it was confiscated on the spot as a fire hazard. Here is why this matters. Cruise cabins are packed close together, and an open flame of any kind, lit or unlit, is treated as a fire risk under maritime safety codes. Here is what you do. Skip candles and incense entirely, and if you want your cabin to smell nice, pack a plug-in air freshener or scented sachets instead, both of which are fully allowed. Number 19. CBD, THC, and cannabis products. This is the rule that confuses more passengers than almost any other, because legality changes from state to state and country to country. A 52-year-old from Denver packed CBD gummies that were legal at home, assuming they would be fine on board. At an international port, customs flagged them because the destination country classified even trace THC content as illegal, and the products were confiscated with a formal warning. Here is why this happens. Ships travel through multiple countries with different drug laws, and cruise lines follow the strictest jurisdiction on the itinerary to avoid legal trouble. Here is what you do. Leave all CBD, THC, and cannabis products at home regardless of your home state's laws, because international waters and foreign ports do not recognize your local legality. Number 18. Satellite communication devices. Devices like satellite phones and personal locator beacons sound like a smart safety backup, but cruise lines restrict them heavily. A 66-year-old from Seattle brought a satellite messenger so his family could track him during shore excursions. Security flagged it during the standard bag scan, explaining that personal satellite transmitters can interfere with the ship's own navigation and emergency systems. Here is why this matters. Ships rely on precise satellite links for navigation and safety, and unauthorized transmitting devices create signal conflicts that the crew cannot risk. Here is what you do. If you want a safety backup during excursions, use the cruise line's approved shore excursion check-in system instead of bringing your own transmitting device. Number 17. Hard liquor and hidden alcohol. This rule has existed for a while, but 2026 has brought sharper detection methods that catch more travelers than ever. A 39-year-old from Las Vegas packed a bottle of vodka inside a mouthwash container, thinking it was a foolproof trick. Staff now use X-ray imaging calibrated to detect liquid density differences, and the bottle was pulled and confiscated within seconds. Here is why cruise lines crack down so hard. Hard liquor brought on board bypasses the bar revenue the ship depends on, and unregulated alcohol creates safety concerns in close quarters. Here is what you do. Stick to the cruise line's allowance, which is typically a couple of bottles of wine or champagne per stateroom, and skip the hidden bottle tricks because the scanners catch nearly all of them now. Number 16. Laser pointers. This one surprises a lot of passengers because it seems so minor. A 29-year-old from Phoenix packed a laser pointer to entertain his kids on the balcony at night. Security confiscated it, explaining that laser devices above a certain strength are banned because they can blind the bridge crew or interfere with aircraft during rescue operations. Here is why this rule exists. Even a small laser pointed toward the bridge or toward a helicopter during an emergency can create a serious safety incident. Here is what you do. Leave laser pointers at home entirely. And if you want to entertain the kids at night, bring glow sticks or a simple flashlight instead. Number 15. Bluetooth speakers. Portable speakers are one of the most commonly confiscated items in 2026, and most passengers do not see it coming. A 44-year-old from Austin packed a small Bluetooth speaker to play music on her balcony. A neighboring cabin complained on the very first night, and the steward informed her that speakers are now restricted to indoor use only, with balcony and pool deck use banned due to prior noise complaints. Here is why cruise lines cracked down. Close quarters mean sound travels between balconies and noise complaints have become one of the top guest relations issues on ships. Here is what you do. If you bring a speaker, use it only inside your cabin with the door closed and use headphones everywhere else on the ship. Number 14. Portable coffee makers and electric kettles. Coffee lovers try to sneak these on board every single sailing, and 2026 enforcement has only gotten tighter. A 61-year-old from Portland packed a small electric kettle to make her own coffee each morning. Her steward found it during a routine safety check and explained that any heating element device is banned in cabins due to fire risk, no exceptions. Here is why this rule is so strict. Cabins are small, wiring is shared, and a forgotten heating element left plugged in overnight is one of the leading causes of cabin fires historically. Here is what you do. Skip the personal coffee maker entirely and instead ask your steward about the ship's in-room coffee service, which many lines now offer for free or a small daily fee. Number 13. Drones. Drones are one of the most consistently confiscated items across every major cruise line in 2026. A 36-year-old from San Diego packed his drone hoping to capture aerial footage at each port. Security confiscated it at the terminal, explaining that drones are banned from being flown from the ship at any time due to safety, privacy, and airspace regulations near ports. Here is why cruise lines are so strict. Flying near a moving ship creates serious risk to crew, other guests, and nearby aircraft, and most countries treat unauthorized drone flights as a legal violation. Here is what you do. If you want aerial shots of your trip, leave the drone home and instead book a shore excursion that includes professional aerial photography, which several ports now offer. If this list is already changing how you pack for 2026, make sure you are subscribed because we cover the newest banned items, the hidden fees, and the small mistakes that get travelers pulled aside at the terminal. And there are still 12 more items most people have never heard about. Number 12. Electric heating pads and heated blankets. This one catches travelers with medical needs off guard every single sailing. A 68-year-old from Cleveland packed her electric heating pad for chronic back pain, assuming it would be treated like any personal medical item. Her steward found it during inspection and explained that any device with an internal heating element is banned in cabins, medical necessity or not. Here is why this rule exists. Heating pads left on overnight are a documented cause of cabin fires, and cruise lines cannot make individual medical exceptions once the policy is set. Here is what you do. If you need heat therapy for pain relief, pack single-use heat wraps that activate with air exposure instead, since those contain no wiring or heating element and are fully allowed. Number 11. Personal Wi-Fi routers and Starlink devices. This is a newer restriction that caught a lot of tech-savvy travelers off guard in 2026. A 32-year-old from Seattle brought a portable Starlink device hoping for faster internet than the ship's package offered. Security confiscated it during screening, explaining that personal satellite internet devices interfere with the ship's communication systems and are now banned across nearly every major cruise line. Here is why this matters. Ships need clean, uninterrupted access to their own satellite bandwidth for navigation and safety systems, and a personal device broadcasting nearby can create signal conflicts. Here is what you do. If you need reliable internet, purchase the ship's Wi-Fi package in advance, since most lines now offer significantly faster speeds in 2026 than they did just a couple of years ago. Number 10. Hoverboards and self-balancing scooters. These have been banned for years due to fire risk, but 2026 has brought even stricter enforcement at the terminal itself. A 27-year-old from Atlanta packed a hoverboard for her kids to ride around the deck. Security stopped the family at the gangway, confiscated the device, and explained that lithium battery fires from these devices have caused real incidents on ships before. Here is why cruise lines will not budge on this rule. Hoverboard batteries have a documented history of overheating and catching fire without warning, and there is no safe way to store them on board. Here is what you do. Leave hoverboards and self-balancing scooters at home entirely. No exceptions exist for this one regardless of the cruise line. Number 9. Smoking or vaping on your balcony. This is the surprise entry that catches even experienced cruisers completely off guard in 2026. A 51-year-old from Nashville stepped onto her balcony for a quick vape, assuming it was allowed outdoors. Within minutes, a smoke sensor triggered an alert, security arrived, and she was fined several $100s, with a warning that a second violation could mean disembarkation at the next port. Here is why this rule has tightened so much. Cruise lines installed advanced smoke detection sensors on balconies after a string of cabin fires linked to discarded cigarettes, and vaping now triggers the same sensors as smoke. Here is what you do. Smoking and vaping are now restricted to designated open deck areas only, so locate those zones on your ship's deck plan before you ever light up. Number 8. Unapproved extension cords and multi-plug adapters. Most passengers do not realize this rule even exists until it costs them. A 59-year-old from Baltimore packed a standard household extension cord to charge multiple devices. It was confiscated during the cabin safety inspection because it lacked a built-in surge protector, now a strict requirement across nearly every cruise line. Here is why this matters. Standard extension cords without surge protection are considered a fire hazard on ships with older electrical systems, while surge-protected versions are engineered to cut power automatically if something goes wrong. Here is what you do. Buy a cruise-approved surge-protected power strip specifically. Check the cruise line's website for the exact approved models, and pack that instead of a regular household cord. Number 7. Surge-protected power strips. This one confuses people because surge protectors sound like exactly what the last rule required, but there is a catch. A 45-year-old from Dallas bought what she believed was an approved surge protector, only to have it confiscated because it had a built-in USB charging hub, which several cruise lines separately restrict due to a different fire risk profile. Here is why this distinction matters. Some surge protectors combine multiple charging technologies that generate more heat than the ship's fire safety codes allow, even though the base surge protection feature is fine. Here is what you do. Check your specific cruise line's exact approved list before buying anything, since Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian each maintain slightly different specifications for what counts as compliant in 2026. Number 6. Large rechargeable power stations. Portable power stations have become popular for keeping devices charged, but cruise lines have drawn a hard line here in 2026. A 37-year-old from Phoenix packed a large power station to keep his laptop and camera charged throughout the trip. It was confiscated at the terminal because its battery capacity exceeded the strict lithium watt-hour limit that applies to all passenger luggage. Here is why large lithium battery packs pose a fire risk if damaged during handling, and airlines and cruise lines have aligned their capacity limits for that reason. Here is what you do. Check the watt-hour rating on your power station, and if it exceeds the published limit, around 100 watt-hours, leave it home. Number 5. Reef-harming sunscreen. This is a rule that has expanded significantly in 2026 as more Caribbean and Hawaiian ports enforce local environmental law. A 48-year-old from Miami packed her usual sunscreen without checking the label. At a shore excursion check-in, staff confiscated it because it contained oxybenzone and octinoxate, chemicals now banned at several reef-adjacent ports due to coral bleaching concerns. Here is why. These chemicals have been linked to coral damage, and destinations that depend on reef tourism have passed local laws banning their use. Here is what you do. Buy a reef-safe, mineral-based sunscreen containing zinc oxide or titanium dioxide before your trip, and check the label carefully, since many products marketed as reef-friendly still contain banned chemicals in small amounts. Number 4. High-wattage hair appliances. This is one of the most commonly confiscated personal care items in 2026. A 42-year-old from Charlotte packed her favorite hairdryer, not realizing it exceeded the wattage limit for cabin circuits. It blew a breaker on the first morning, and her steward confirmed appliances above a certain wattage are now restricted because cabin circuits cannot handle the load. Here is why this matters. Cruise ship cabins run on lower amperage circuits than most homes, and high wattage devices like hairdryers and straighteners can trip breakers or, in rare cases, cause overheating. Here is what you do. Check your appliance's wattage rating before packing it, and if it is unclear or high-powered, rely on the hairdryer most cabins already provide instead of bringing your own. Number 3. Camouflage clothing at certain ports. This rule has nothing to do with the ship itself and everything to do with the countries on your itinerary. A 56-year-old from Savannah packed a camouflage jacket, not realizing several island nations, including Barbados and Jamaica, banned civilians from wearing camouflage patterns entirely. She was stopped at the port and asked to change before going ashore. Here is why this law exists. Many Caribbean nations restrict camouflaged clothing to military and police personnel only, and violating it can result in confiscation or even a fine at the port. Here is what you do. Check the specific dress laws for every port on your itinerary before you pack, and leave camouflage patterned clothing home entirely if your route includes the Caribbean. Number 2. Portable steamers and clothing irons. This is one of the most frequently confiscated items, and most travelers have no idea it is even restricted. A 53-year-old from Minneapolis packed a travel steamer to keep her formal outfits wrinkle-free for dinner. Her steward found it during the routine check and explained irons and steamers are banned in cabins due to a documented history of fires caused by irons left on unattended. Here is why cruise lines will not make exceptions. An iron or steamer left plugged in while a passenger steps out is one of the most common causes of onboard cabin fires on record. Here is what you do. Most ships offer a laundry service with pressing included, or a self-service laundry room with a properly ventilated iron station, so use that instead of bringing your own. Number 1. Smart luggage with non-removable lithium batteries. This is the item now restricted on almost every major ship sailing in 2026. And it catches more travelers off guard than anything else on this list. A 64-year-old from San Francisco invested in smart luggage with a built-in battery for charging and GPS tracking. At check-in, staff informed her that luggage with a non-removable battery is banned entirely because it cannot be extracted for safe storage the way regulations now require. Her bag was held for the entire cruise. Here is why this rule has expanded so aggressively. Non-removable batteries cannot be isolated if they overheat or get damaged during handling, and that makes them one of the highest fire risk items in all of luggage. Here is what you do. If your smart luggage does not have a removable battery, leave it home entirely. And if you are buying new luggage for 2026, confirm the battery is removable before you ever purchase it. Now, knowing these 25 banned items will not matter if you make a documentation mistake at the terminal that gets you denied boarding. New 2026 boarding rules have added stricter identification requirements and tighter luggage screening that catches thousands of travelers every month. If you found this helpful, subscribe to Senior Cruise Secrets, because next I am breaking down the 12 boarding day mistakes getting passengers denied boarding before they ever see their stateroom. See you there.